Welcome to Lugar Stories, a podcast of the stories in and around the magical land of Lugar. Welcome, everyone, to Lugar Stories. I am your host, Haley Marie, and I am here with Sylvia Puentes today, a Lugar ambassador. And today we want to chat with you guys a little bit about the celebration of living. And we see the celebration of living in everything at Lugar, whether it's the people doing the construction, the people who work at the nursery, the people who visit there. The land itself has this energy of celebration infused into it. And with us as beings here on this planet, we are like little replicas of the earth. And when we celebrate our lives every day, we contribute to the earth, we contribute to Lugar, and it also contributes to us. So what is it to have that celebration of living with the earth, Sylvia? What is that for you?
Well, thank you, Haley. And I love this topic. I think, if anything, that energy of celebration is an energy that actually is a big part of my life in living. I've had friends, tease me. It's like, well, Sylvia, you celebrate the smallest things, and it's an energy that's very generative. That's how I see it. It's generative. And the planet is generative. It's always, always generating, right? There's, we've talked about recently that it's not about regenerating. It actually just keeps moving forward to generate. And I get that that's actually something we can choose, and, our bodies continue to be until it's not. But for me, that celebrating the living, it's got elements of like gratitude. It has elements of possibilities and knowing that we have choice. And for me, it's that sense of, having a body and having the joy to live on this planet with this planet. It's that sense of, I'm looking out the window right now. I'm in Mexico City and I'm on the fourth floor. So I get to see all these trees, right? And then I get to hear the birds and so all of that and more is available. It's like what we can hear, what we can see, and then what we can't hear and see. And for me, the invitation that Lugar is that willingness to receive. It's that invitation to receive on so many different levels that my sense is that the more we increase our receiving, there's also a gifting that we be to the planet. There's been conversations about like we've been walking on the earth, but not with the earth. That keeps us from really acknowledging what's there, what we can contribute. And so that shift, it's part of the gift that I see also of this pandemic, the sense where everyone's kind of beginning to look at their life, their living, their choices a bit different. And we're also beginning to see clearly what hasn't worked, and also I'd say the potency of the generation of the planet, that when we step aside, what it actually is capable of. So this energy of celebrating living, it's like what could we celebrate today on the smallest scale? Anything from your delicious coffee, anything from just the breeze that actually contributes to an energy of what can be created on the planet, on the molecular level, and in your life, your business, your body, and everything else.
Yeah, that celebration of living is such a contribution, and it overflows to other people as well as, your business and your life. And what if everything was a celebration, whether it looked good or looked bad or looked ugly? Lugar, the earth, Lugar is the earth, but it doesn't have a point of view. It celebrates everything, whether there's destruction, whether there's creation, and it has all those elements. And it's every day saying, hey, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. It's all great. It's all grand and it's all glorious. So what if we in our everyday lives looked at everything as that possibility, that grand and glorious adventure, even if it's something that shows up that's odd in our life. What if it's like, okay, what now? What adventure is this going to take me on? What adventure can this be? What other new possibility will show up from this? And the earth definitely has that. El Lugar has that. It's just constantly smiling at us and gifting to us. And what will it take for everybody to receive that and everybody to have this relaxation of walking with the earth and knowing that the earth has our back? El Lugar has our back.
Yes. And I love that because, there's been these beautiful short video clips that people can find on El Lugar's YouTube channel. And the gift of those videos for me is that, you can hear us speaking about it and the visuals sometimes help. And there's a couple videos that have no words and you receive the sound and the images of the El Lugar property. And for me, it's almost like El Lugar is inviting us to what's possible on the entire planet. So yes, it's this beautiful, property in Costa Rica, and yet it's giving us a glimpse of what's available in the diversity in the land of El Lugar. And I think I read there were 73 different species of trees. And I remember visiting there going, it's almost like we have the color palettes of green, and yet as I looked everywhere, there were so many different shades, so many different microclimates, but it was this willingness to receive from it all. And like you said, short, stubby, fat, ugly, trunk on the ground or whatever it was. It's like, what if all of it, like really that gift of receiving the diversity and, animals, insects. I remember we had gone on a horse ride and one lady got stung by wasps pretty bad. But even then, it's like, she was attended to and all, and yet it's the gift that wasps are even living on there. Like, what if nothing was wrong? And it really is becoming aware of, who you interact with, perhaps in certain ways, like wasps. But like, what would it take? For me, it's almost like this invitation of living on a planet and perhaps that we have always known is possible, and yet we haven't seen anyone choose to create that. And the gift of having, many people around the world, there's many things coming out where people are starting to create projects where they're like, no, we need to do something different. We can do something different, rather than looking always at what's not working, going, okay, this is going on. Now what can we create? And I get that's been one beautiful question of El Lugar. What can we do different and work in communion with the earth? And to see a project like El Lugar, from the building, from the septic, to really honoring the land, working in conjunction with the land in communion, and also through the question. And that's the magic. I keep hearing these stories about the magic of, for 10 days it didn't rain, and that doesn't occur. And then all of a sudden construction can move forward. Or projects and the cost of a project, and how all of a sudden, where it was going to be millions, it became a couple 100,000. So it's like what else is available, and what will the earth contribute to us as we are actually acknowledging the gift that it is and what it always has contributed to us. So where can we begin to build that simultaneity of gifting and receiving with the earth? Way more than we have.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's the invitation for us to be something greater in our lives and on the planet. And like you said, this has really shown people that there's other possibilities available. I mean, there's very few places on this planet that are built like El Lugar is being built. And what will it take for more places to show up like this, for everybody to create a greater communion with the earth? And when we be that, when we be ourselves, like, what does that contribute back to the planet? And what can the planet contribute back to us?
Exactly. And I'm so excited. There's so many different projects going on in El Lugar to invite people because we know that part of, creating a project like El Lugar, it's going to take a lot of people. It's going to take money. It's got elements that are required to build it, to get it out in the world. So it's been such a gift to contribute to it getting out in the world for people to know what's going and to also be willing to receive contribution from people, and also the joy of finding different ways to give back. Right now we have a El Lugar club member that people can join, and there's these beautiful gifts coming out of that incredible program. So we have an incredible call today, and I say incredible because it really is, these amazing people sharing what it is that they know. So when I talk about even what's different about El Lugar, the land, and the projects going on, it's also showing us how business and creation can be done in such a different way. And that is the gift, of Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, and amazing people like Dr. Dane, Simone Milastes, Brendan Watt, David Hewis, the incredible international attorney who is also contributing so much to looking at what multiple ways we can create and actualize what we know is possible. So, and Haley, you're such a big part of it too, with this podcast in different ways. But it's like, I wonder, what, the listeners of this podcast today, like, what have you always desired to contribute to the earth? And, I would invite you to take a look at El Lugar to see if this is one of the ways that you can contribute to a different possibility. For me, I've always played with the idea. It's like, I would like to be a trillionaire, multi-millionaire, so I can have this money where I could then gift it to projects like this, where it's like, people that are inspired to create something that's never been seen before. It's like, where can I contribute to that? So not at the trillion mark yet, but, still contributing in any other ways. It's at thousands perhaps, but hey, what if, every dollar, every energetic contribution to that you place on contributing to a possibility like El Lugar could create for you and the planet. So when you talk about celebrating of living, that is also kind of that energy for me of, wow, that our energies, as we're celebrating in gratitude of things, is a generative energy to contribute to anything you put your attention on.
Yes, and then that contributes back to you, and it never shows up how you think it will. It's not linear. A lot of times people think, oh, if I put money in, I put time in, whatever that is, right? That there should be some sort of linearity of it returning. But when you let go of what we've been taught that giving and receiving is, and going into gifting and receiving and what it will create, then the earth and the universe can show us like the greater possibilities that are available to us when we just be that energy of celebration. We be that energy of gifting and receiving with the earth, with a project like El Lugar. And again, it just never shows up how you think it will. El Lugar will mean so much to you if you're willing to receive it.
And this gifting and receiving reminds me of, because you're walking, you're like, yeah, I'm receiving, it's there. And yet there's this exercise that Gary Douglas has invited us to do. It's, I believe it's 100 feet you walk in 1 hour.
Oh, the meditation walk, yes.
Thank you. The meditation with Earth walk. And I invite you all. There's even, I believe, a YouTube video where he talks about it, and it's the invitation and explains it. But really, it's going out somewhere in nature, away from other people, so you really have that moment. And you're walking slow enough. I remember the first time I tried it, I could not finish. Like, it was almost uncomfortable not to move quickly through. And I started to look at that. It's like, wow, how much in my life am I not actually receiving what's around me? So if you'd like to increase your receiving and just play with, wow, what would it be like to walk 100 feet and totally receive? And the gift of that is that your awareness does increase, and you become aware of things that have always been there, perhaps, especially if it's a place you've gone to before and you've just never allowed yourself to receive. And for me recently, we all know that this change globally has almost quieted things down. And I've been so grateful. I've been to a couple different places, Boulder, Colorado being one of them. And I remember looking up towards the mountains one morning, and it was, I could see between the trees this like, top rock of this mountain going, wow, you are so gorgeous. Like just the shape of it, where it was, I was just like, and all of a sudden, and this is the part that becomes weird, and yet it's like I couldn't deny it, but all of a sudden, it's almost as if I could hear it come back and go, well, you're gorgeous too. And I was like, whoa, wait a moment. So then I was like, because it's almost this energetic flow that we don't acknowledge exists. Like, and so to perceive it in that way that morning, I was going, and then I looked at the trees closer to me, and I started to notice, like, as I flowed energy of gratitude and admiration and just the colors in the branches, it was the sensation that wave was coming back to me. And I thought, if the earth had a voice, and if you could hear what it had to say, what is it saying to you right now? And as you shift that energy to gratitude, to acknowledgement, to what can I contribute to you today, it's like, what would it say then? Because this capacity to begin to listen to and receive what the earth, what our bodies, what our business has to say, I get as a gift to move and create beyond what we thought is possible. It's almost where, what can we hear about what's going to be required in the future that no one's talking about right now, that the earth might give us information, our bodies, our businesses. So I get from many people, if you're listening to the podcast, I get you probably can get what I'm talking about. But sometimes I even notice where like, wow, where am I not willing to have this conversation? Because there's so much available. And as I'm speaking it now, I can even feel it like humming in my body. So it's that sense of what else is available, and El Lugar being one incredible property and project that's inviting us to have more of that. I didn't know that this was available 10 years ago for myself, maybe even a year ago. So, that invitation, it's like as we begin to increase that receiving, gifting, what does show up.
Thank you for sharing that, Sylvia. And it's such a reminder that we aren't separate from anything. We aren't separate from the earth. And when we're willing to receive the earth, it can send us the whispers of what it requires from us, of what it requires for its thrival and to be in communion with us. It's funny because as you say that, like, I remember hearing those whispers at times when I've had like total relaxation in my body and connection with the earth. And actually it happened for me. It was either during or after the first 7 day I went to in Costa Rica, which was right around when Gary was first announcing that they had the property, I think, at El Lugar. And I just remember the earth speaking to me, and I actually wrote it down. And I wrote this poem about what the earth had told me. I have it somewhere in the phone somewhere. I never put it out anywhere, and it was so clear. And so, like, it was the earth speaking to me. I was like, oh my God, the earth spoke to me. It was almost at the time, because it's like you said, we don't always know that this is possible, until we're shown these possibilities by El Lugar, by being present and letting down our walls and our barriers and just receiving from nature. So if you all have never experienced this, do this exercise that Sylvia was just talking about with walking with the earth. It is an amazing contribution to your body. And what would that create for you and for the planet itself? Awesome.
I was just looking to see if I could find the link to at least give you guys, but you can find it on YouTube, Gary Douglas Meditation Walk. And yeah, and this is the part, like, when we look at living on this planet and the years that are estimated for us to live on the planet, it's like, what if we could actually contribute to a sustainable earth 500, 1,000 years from now? with the choices that we make today. And that for me is the sense of, wow, like that makes worth living for me. Like that sense of, wow, I can actually contribute to something greater. It's like I'm enjoying the planet now. I, choose to travel quite a bit, and I'm always amazed. I was on a short bus drive within Mexico to another city, and the mountain views. I mean, it's like there's so many gifts. And then being on planes, I've seen different terrains, and I was like, this is such a magical planet. Like on one side of the earth, there's snow, desert, and you got oceans and all sorts of different terrains. And I was like, it's like, have we truly acknowledged what an incredible gift this planet is? And so I'm asking more every day, what can I contribute to the earth? And I leave the question open. I leave that energy to see what shows up. So what if our question could actually contribute to the earth greater than what we've already decided we need to do to save the earth? So what can I contribute to you today, earth? And what can I contribute to El Lugar? Knowing that is, one endeavor to bring forth a whole new reality of creating with the earth.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, what if it's not about saving the earth, but contributing to the earth? And in turn, the earth contributes back to us. Well, the earth is always contributing to us.
And how does it get any better that you choosing to have more joy, celebrate your life? It can't be that easy. Like we don't have to go into the fight to save and to work hard at something. It really can begin from wherever you're at right now, whatever you can find to shift that, that perspective of, wow, even being in a city like Mexico City, it's like I'm in a beautiful area where there's a lot of trees, but wherever you're at, if you're in a building, what can you still find? What are you still choosing that is a different energy than the devastation and separation and judgment that's going on? Like, what if we can acknowledge truly what we're being and the choices we have available?
And what if it's our celebration and our joy that heals the planet?
What? What? Yes. So, that laughter and that joy.
Yeah. Imagine that happiness could heal the planet and all the other different diseases that are going around, right?
Exactly. And that's where, what are you saying? It can actually be that simple, and that your choice can contribute to creating a greater possibility on planet Earth.
Yes. How does it get better than that?
How does it?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sylvia. That was an awesome conversation about the earth and El Lugar and the celebration of our beings.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you guys enjoyed this, there's other podcasts. Spread the word. These short conversations, what can they contribute to someone that perhaps has never had this possibility or perspective? So happy to contribute. Thank you, Haley.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We'll see you guys on the next podcast.
Thank you for visiting El Lugar Stories. For more information on El Lugar, please visit our website at www.el-lugar.com and follow us on our many social media channels, which you can find here on this page.